One of the questions I often get asked by a lot of people that watch my videos is, how do we find why our traffic has dropped? And now after the recent Google Helpful Content update, this has become an even more important question to answer, because many people are either new to SEO, or they don't know SEO, or they're even new to managing websites. Many people I run into don't even have Google Search Console set up. So if you don't have Google Search Console set up, that's the first step to analyzing what's going wrong with your website. And the best way to understand what happened to your traffic is to look at the main chart in the performance report of your Google Search Console. So if you go to Google Search Console and you hit performance on the right, there's a small blue highlighted text. Just go ahead and click performance and it'll pull up your performance report. Based on how your performance report looks visually, you have a fairly good idea of why your traffic may have dropped. And it's not always because of the recent algorithm update or a recent change to Google's policies, but many times there are other issues that are associated with your website, but it's only now that you're finding out. And because there's an update rolling out, or because there's a change in policy that happened recently, you attribute that to the change that Google has made. 8 out of 10 times when I run into a website that has lost traffic, it's not because of an algorithm update, it's because of various other reasons that if they address those issues, they will not have that problem again. In this video, I'll show you how to analyze your search traffic drop pattern. And this is mainly when you go to Search Console, you click performance, and you see the way the graph goes up and down. And so this will give you a fairly good idea as to what may be going on with your traffic. And then obviously there are videos on this channel that go into different types of problems and how to fix them. So the first thing you want to do is you want to go and you want to look at the last 16 months. Now, you could go to 24 months, but 16 months is pretty much where you should start. Now, if you have a 3-year-old website and you just started getting traffic in the past year, then even maybe the last 12 months is fine, but you're trying to pull up as much data, historical data, so you know what's going on with your website. So you choose the date filter on the top of the chart, select last 16 months. This will help you analyze the traffic drop in context and make sure it's not a drop that happens every year. So there are seasonal drops in traffic depending on what industry you belong to. And then if you extend it to 16 months, it'll give you a very good idea of what's going on. Now I have a screenshot of a chart here that shows a seasonal drop in traffic. Now, so if you look at this, there's a consistent drop in traffic each time it's the same time of year or around the same time of year. Now, there's a word of caution here. Many people are not going to understand this data because if they have an old website, the time during which we had the COVID-19 lockdowns either adversely or positively affected many businesses. Unusual times, which makes the comparison harder to do. But that is just something to keep in mind when you're looking at these charts, is that you take into account the fact that your business or your website was operating during the COVID-19 lockdowns. The next thing you want to do is you want to hit the compare tab and then compare the last 3 months to the previous period, or compare it to the last 3 year over year. So you're comparing the last 3 months that there was a drop compared to the previous year's last 3 months, the same time over here. And this will help you review what exactly changed. Make sure to click all tabs and find out if the change happened only for a specific query, URLs, countries, devices, or search appearances. And so if you look at the following chart, it shows the 3 months comparison performance shot. Notice how there's a drop in traffic. It's clear when comparing the full line, last 3 months, to the dotted line with the previous month. So the dotted line that you see is from the previous months, and the solid line is from the present months. And choose the search type filter on the top chart and try different search options available. This will help you understand whether the drop in traffic happened in web search, Google Images, or videos, news, or the news tab. The next thing I always do is I check the average position. And that's because if there is a drop in the average position or a sharp drop in average position, it means that we have lost rankings. And in that case, we want to work on improving our rankings because obviously a drop in position means a drop in traffic. So to do that, you just click on the average position tab on the right. You click that and it will show you the average position. You can turn off all the other ones so that you only see the average position and it's not confusing. And if you look at the average position, in this case, you might see either a down or an uptick. An uptick is obviously good. And then what I like to do is I like to go into individual pages and look at how well they're positioned. So if you click on the page and you have your position tab clicked on the right, it shows all the positions for the keywords that it was ranking for, and this will give you this will give you an idea of how well those pages are ranking and for what keywords those pages are ranking. And if there is a drop in traffic, you will notice that in the graph that I showed you. Now, if you're running into a site-wide issue, you should click on the page indexing report on the left. If the drop only affected a specific group of pages, then you can use the URL inspector tool to investigate those few pages. Usually when this happens, it is a technical SEO problem more than Google penalizing your website. Okay, finally, now that you have gone into how to use Google Search Console to find these trends, there are four main reasons for a drop in organic traffic. The first is a site level technical issue, which means that if there's a technical problem with your website, there's going to be a drop in traffic. The way that graph will look is something like this. And then there's seasonality. So with seasonality, you'll see this consistent up and down around specific times of the year. And so that graph will look something like that. And then if there's a page level technical problem, algorithmic changes, or there is market disruptions, you will see a gradual decline, but rather steep decline month over month in your traffic, which means that either the market has depreciated or there's an algorithmic penalty. I mean, there could be other changes, like for instance, Google's policies regarding your content. If you see a steep dip in traffic or a steep dip in performance, that usually indicates that there's a steep dip and then it goes right back up, and that indicates that there's a glitch. Usually maybe your website was down for a day or two and Google was crawling the site, so it was down, and then it reported it as this. Or maybe you had been migrating your website and that caused a dip. In most cases you will recover, and this is not something you would worry about if the graph comes right back up to where it was previously. If it does not, then you have a problem. Finally, it is important to understand that these drops in traffic will happen to any website, and these are just ways that you can figure out what's going on with your website without when you first look at Google Search Console. But usually, if your website has been around for a while, or if you've been trying to do SEO on your site, the patterns may not match, and sometimes even if the patterns match, those might not be the underlying reason why you are losing traffic, and that hence it would require a deeper dive into your website. What that would mean is like running Screaming Frog, going to Google Analytics, looking at that data, checking your server logs. And I have a video on how to check your server logs using Google Bard. And so you would do that to figure out what else is going on with your website. And that's why if you've seen a drop in your traffic, the best thing to do is to do a full audit. Now, if you can't do a full audit, you can hire someone like me to do a full audit on your website, and I help find these kinds of issues with your website, and then you could address those issues. You could hire someone to address those issues. I also sometimes provide a strategy to recover if that's even possible to do easily. So sometimes there's an opportunity for you to recover, and just changing a few things on your website will help you recover. In my opinion, I would provide that information, but by and large, a complete audit, the one that I provide, just goes into all of this data. It provides you with all of this data in a very simplified format that you can then use to address your traffic issues, either yourself, or you obviously hire someone to do it, or you can hire me to do it and I can fix it for you. So I hope you guys like the video, like and subscribe, and I'll check you guys out in the next video.